So we have Mr. Collins with us, and we're gonna ask him what the wellness team is.
What is the wellness team?
Yeah. What is the wellness team?
What is the wellness team? The wellness team is a program and a group of teachers who works to improve the welfare and the well-being of the employees of the school district.
Okay. And what does the wellness team do?
The wellness team does lots of things. We plan activities. We do potlucks and different things for our staff, like snacks on conference days. We also do a lot of like activity nights and fundraising things for our staff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
So after talking to Mr. Collins, we also have Miss Doherty, who is also a big part of the wellness team. So if you could just fill us in. Mr. Collins told us about how you guys care for the wellness of the teachers and a little bit on what you do, if you want to elaborate a little bit.
Sure. Well, basically, I'll give you a little bit of background. We actually applied for a grant, and Mr. Collins was very instrumental in getting the grant put together, and we were awarded a substantial amount of money for this year, and so we created a committee of individual staff members from the elementary school and the high school, and we meet once a month. We've been buying kayaks and we bought some paddle boards. We've had a few wellness parties. We did the Christmas party for all the staff, and we're getting ready to do a poker walk, and we have a bingo night, I think, or a bunko night, not bingo, and we will also do an axe throwing party for all staff at the end of the year. So basically it's just a great way to bring all the staff together, both at the elementary school and the high school, for companionship and just overall wellness. So.
Awesome, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
So we have Superintendent Mr. Jerome here.
Yep.
And so we're going to talk about some of the upgrades we did in the classrooms and just the school overall with the bond that we got.
Perfect. So over the last couple of years, the community voted to pass a bond to give the school district millions of dollars to upgrade. And some of the things that we did, we redid all of the hallways in both buildings and painted everything, so we kind of upgraded there. Each classroom in the district, both buildings again, got new paint, new flooring, carpeting and lighting, so that's kind of cool. Just kind of upgraded everything. It was time for us to do that. Some major construction. We built a auxiliary gym out in the back, so our JV and middle school kids can play their games there, so they no longer have to play in the cafeteria, which is really cool. Let's see, we upgraded our lights in the gym, which we just missed basketball season, but if you see this video and want to come up and check them out, it's pretty cool. Another really cool thing we did at the grade school, we expanded our band room and made it into two classrooms into one big one, so that's going to help our band program out quite a bit. We redid the track. We finally have a track with a real surface on it. We've got really cool grandstands and seating around it, so I'm actually calling it a stadium because that's what it feels like. It kind of sits down, and that's been really fun. We've had a track meet, our first track meet last spring, and I think there was like 400 kids that were participating, so that was cool. We upgraded the front entranceway of the high school. So that looks good coming in. Both buildings got security, new doors, new alarm system. Each office area has a place where parents and community members have to check in before they can just walk into the school. So I'd like to thank the community once again for passing that bond. I think most of you that's part of the school has been through the buildings, and I think it's pretty cool, but that's a pretty exciting thing for Pilot Rock School District.
And while we have you here, one of our other things that we're going to be talking about is culture in Pilot Rock, and I know you've been a really big part of that. Mm-hmm. And so just talk a little bit about like the culture you see between students to students and as well as staff to students.
Well, first of all, that you are correct. That is actually the number one thing for Mr. Jerome. I've been doing this 28 years, and without positive relationships between students and staff, it's very challenging to have any success. Now, with that being said, we all know that we're not always going to get along, but we got to figure out ways to work together and have the right goal, to get better every day. So what I've seen, this is my 5th year as the SOUP. 2 years was COVID, so that doesn't really count. And then a couple years of the bond, so here we are. What I have seen change is how positive people are. Our kids are positive, our staff is positive, community members are positive. I think we're giving out that vibe that things in the district, within the district, it's just a good place to be. It's a positive place to be. I think my ultimate goal when I hired Mr. Norton is I want kids to feel like this is their second home. And I truly think that for the majority of that, the students in both buildings, they feel that way. Again, not every kid is going to want to come to school. We know that. Yeah. But for the majority, I think you're shaking your head. Yes, you agree. So yes, that is the number one thing for me, the relationship piece. I've said it many, many times. These schools, these buildings were built for kids. And that's what you have to have a mindset when you come to here. So I would say we are moving in a very positive direction with everybody. I think people realize that coming to school, coming to work, it's a nice place to come. Would you agree?
I do agree.
Okay.
We also just talked to Miss Doherty about the wellness team.
Yep.
And she gave us a little insight on that.
Yep. So. Yeah, the wellness team that the staff put together and got a couple grants, they're doing a good job getting adults together, and it's just like I said, a second home away from your real home. That's the whole idea. So, right on, go Rockets!
Thanks, Mr. Jerome.
You guys coming out to base?
So here with us now we have Miss Nelson, and she is a first-year teacher, and so we're going to ask her a few questions. So one of our first questions is, since this is your first year teaching and you're just out of college, what is teaching your first year, what you thought it would be like, or how they explained it to you in college?
Well, I'm still going through my education program to get my endorsement and license to teach secondary education, because right now I'm on my restricted. But so far, my experience here, I don't feel like there have been any big surprises here versus what I've been taught in school or things that we've been prepared for. If anything has come up, then I do feel like there's a support team to help me figure out the best way to tackle a situation or anything unique, which I think is something that is kind of universal in every school. But there hasn't been anything here that I haven't felt inappropriately equipped to handle, or if I need help, I know where to get it, and I will get the help for that situation.
So another kind of an in-depth question. Since this is your first year teaching, your first school you've ever taught at, would you choose a bigger school or just a different school in general other than Pilot Rock to teach at?
I think my favorite thing about Pilot Rock is the size and the fact that I went to a bigger high school, and so one thing that was great and surprising I'm so sorry that was great and surprising about the small school is the culture, in that I've gotten to know the students really well, which has really helped me feel better in teaching, and the community here is great. So in that sense, I definitely, if I could do it again, I would pick Pilot Rock again in a school of this size, because it offers you a lot of resources and support that you maybe wouldn't be able to get in a bigger scenario.
So going on to that whole culture talk, what do you think the culture is here between the students and staff, and even staff and staff?
I think the biggest thing that kind of sets this place apart from others that I've seen is just the fact that everyone is so close-knit, staff to staff, students to students, and then even staff to students. Especially, I mean, I've only been here for a few months, but I feel like when I got to know the students so well early on due to small class sizes and just culture and nature of the school, it helps me to better fit my lessons around the needs of the students. And that's something that is not unique just in my classroom. That's something that all teachers, I think, can do. And it's really cool to see some of the relationships between students and the friendships that are here. I feel like that bond is so strong, and they're just there's a very loyal culture to everybody here, and I really appreciate that with students and staff. I feel that way.
So also, not only your first year teaching, but your first year taking on a lot of things. And so, as all of us here know, you are the middle school leadership teacher. And so how do you feel, just like, because like I know like you guys have the wellness team, so that's kind of like, I feel like that's kind of like your guys' leadership class. And how do you think that relates to like our leadership class that we do for like our fun nights and all that stuff?
The wellness team or junior high leadership?
The wellness team.
The wellness team. I think that I really appreciate the wellness team, because not only do they have like nights and activities for us, like we just had a bunko night with staff for the whole district a couple weeks ago, and that was super fun. But they're also putting on activities like a potluck every month and other wellness things and resources. Like we've got a gear library that's free for the staff to use. So there's a lot of different opportunities from the wellness team, similarly to leadership for the rest of the school, that is there for staff to support them and make them feel great. And then you also just have a group that you can go to if you've got something going on, or maybe there's a situation that came up and you don't know how to approach it. And so you've got people automatically in your corner who are assigned and willing and excited to help you in whatever you need, just like a leadership class would be. So it's really great. I like the wellness team a lot.
And so just kind of going on more about the leadership class too, you know, do you think like having those resources and like those classes, like how we have the leadership class has like our fun nights and all the stuff that we do, as well as how like the wellness team does all the fun nights for you guys and the resources, do you think having those things are important to a school's culture?
Definitely. I think that's what makes a school culture. I think otherwise, even in small schools and small classes like this, if you didn't have students gathering outside of just the academic setting, then there wouldn't be the sense of camaraderie that there is. I think that is all built in extracurricular activities, which there's a ton of here, and things like fun nights when kids can, and staff for the wellness team, can gather and hang out without any pressure or stress of any task to be done besides just having fun and connecting. So I think that is what makes or breaks, and in this case makes, the school culture what it is.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm here with Lewis Hansen. Lewis, how do you like Pilot Rock?
You know, I like it quite a bit, actually. You know, it's a nice town. It's usually nice weather, and there's always something to do at the school here.
Yeah. How do you like the student-to-student culture?
I actually think it's pretty good. You know, at least for me, it feels like no matter where you go, you always got a friend somewhere. You know, or you know, everybody seems to be friends with somebody. It's not like there's anybody who just does their own thing, because there's always at least somebody that they can there's always somebody doing something with somebody else, you know. And then like I think like for classes especially, it seems like everybody within a class is pretty good friends with each other, and then and so that's always good, I think.
Okay. What about the student-to-staff ratio, or the culture? You know, the teachers good and supportive?
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had a bad teacher going here. You know, they're always willing to help you if you ask, and they enjoy talking with students. You know, they always like want to talk to students. They want to engage students, and they just they want everything to be fun. So I think that's a good thing, and that's what I think is one of the best parts about Pilot Rock.
Okay. Thank you, Lewis.
All right.
Here with us today, we have Haley, who is the president of FFA, and we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like at Pilot Rock and like the involvement of everyone. So, just being an FFA, what do you think is one of the, like, a word you usually describe, like the culture of Pilot Rock between like students?
I would say the culture is very community-like. Everyone is kind of there for everyone. We have a very like tight-knit kind of student culture. Everyone knows everyone. We know everyone's business, but we're all very supportive, which I really like about Pilot Rock.
And then, just being so involved with like all the teachers, especially, what would you say is about like the culture between like a staff and a student? So like, you know, like interactions with the teachers.
I would say like the interactions between a staff member and a student is honestly very personable. They get to know you, they care about you and kind of what you're going through, which I think is something that bigger schools lack. Our school, I love every teacher. They probably know way more than they should about me, and I probably know way more than I should about them.
Okay, and then, I mean, I know like we don't really get a lot of interaction, but like how do you think it is between like staff and staff? So like, you know, like you see the staff interact with each other and all that stuff. Like,
I would say it's a pretty positive interaction. Everyone seems to get along, and I think it's a pretty positive environment overall.
well,